Alright guys, we're going to do 2-point perspective letters. We're going to do an E, an N, and a D. Alright, so you'll need to get your straight edge and your pencil. And you'll want to put your straight edge nice and parallel on your paper. But put 2 points alongside that ruler. My book's kind of crooked. You can put a light line if you want to, but we're not really going to necessarily need it. Alright, so what we're doing here is, like, when one point we had the whole block facing us, it was nice and parallel and perpendicular. And now we're going to not just scoot it over so we can see multiple sides like we did on one point, but now we're going to draw the midline, the vertical line first. And then we're going to have both sides recede off to vanishing points. So receding off to this left, receding off to the right. Alright, so I want an E, an N, and a D. So I know I want my E, an N, and my D around here. So I'm going to start with a vertical line. So you're fine. Sure.
Okay.
Did you order more? Or?
No, I got them for free from one of the people at the central office.
I'll take 2. Thank you. So I'm going to put a vertical line here and erase the lines or the orthogonals in the middle and erase them on the inside. Then I got to put a line here, and I can't go way back because this one's in front and that one's behind. So I have to have this vertical line be anywhere from here to here. We can have a little bit of space. Negative space, I'll put my vertical line. So there's a little bit of space between these two. Then, I don't really want these long triangles back here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a vertical line back here. Again, where you place those extra verticals, it depends on how much width you want on your block. How much depth, I guess. Alright, so the E, if we drew it facing us, would be something like that. And we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 horizontals. Would normally be horizontal, especially if we were drawing this in 1-point perspective. Right? This would all be nice and horizontal, but in this case we're drawing them at an angle. So now we don't have horizontals anymore. We have orthogonals that either go to the right or to the left. So all of these that were once horizontal now need to be orthogonal. So I can kind of look at how long my line is here. And I already have the bottom here, and I already have the top here. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4 additional lines in here to make an E. So I'm looking at about 1 3/4 of an inch. So I could do the math and figure out like where my middle is and then make, 2 dots on either side. But I think I'm visually just going to kind of eyeball that. And I can make adjustments. So I'm going to leave it like that. And I'm going to connect my right because I'm on the right side of the block. So I'm going to use my right vanishing point. And this is kind of the same way we do windows or floors of a building. So I'm just connecting my dots, right, to the dot I made, right dot, or vanishing point. So now I need to make this into my E, so I'm missing this part, the vertical line that makes the solid. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball, make sure I'm nice and parallel, and put a vertical line in here. Then I can erase what I don't want. So I erased all the orthogonals in this space. Open this negative space up. And I'm almost done with my E, but I need a little bit of a platform in here, and I need a little bit underside here. This runs right on the horizon line, so I don't need to see the top, inside, or the bottom of the middle part of the E. So I went to the right, this goes to the right vanishing point connected to a vertical, so I can't go right again. I have to use the opposite point. So I match up to that corner there, that outside acute corner of the E, and go back to the left vanishing point. And do the same with this overhang of the E up here, go back to the left vanishing point. So this is not that much depth here, so if I left that much depth, it would look kind of weird. Let me make that a little darker. I'm going to match up back here to the right vanishing point. That happens to be level with that, that's funny. So I'm just going to go up a little higher. And then test out my other side. Okay. And put in a line there. So I can erase out that extra orthogonal that goes to the left, and now I end up with that underside of the E, and I can shade it. Because if the sun is shining from above or somewhere, I would have a shadow underneath there. Make sure my lines stay nice and straight, or crisp. Alright, for the end, I'm going to use an X guideline that I'm not going to keep forever. It's just going to help me out. I'm going to put 3 options. Now again, I'm on the right side, so I'm going to use the right vanishing point. I'm going to put 3 options through this. They're not going to stay forever. Maybe we could put 4 options. So I have option 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now what these are important is it's to set the pillar, these side pillars that should seem equal, but one is going to have to look like it's closer to us, and one is going to have to look like it's farther away, because this is closer and that's farther away. So one of these, this one has to seem wider and this one has to seem narrow. And this will help us do it accurately. So if we look at 4, where it hits the X guideline, or if we look at 3, where it hits the X guideline, or if we look at 2, where it hits, or the first option, if I run a vertical line through those dots, nice parallel vertical, which one would make more sense for the side pillars of my N? I'm thinking, for me, it's option number 3. Okay, so let's finish this so we don't need any of these choices anymore. I'm going to keep my X here where it hits. That's important still. But not these extra lines. I don't need those anymore. All those extra guidelines. Alright, so with this top upper right or left, sorry, X hits here, we're going to match up to the lower part of our N on the right with a diagonal line. Then where this upper part, the top inside, we're going to match up with where the X hits down here. And that makes this a little wider and this a little narrow. This wide, that narrow, and that is because this is closer and that's farther away. So with letters like H, in anything with two sides that are equal, we need to do this. All right, again, we're not quite finished. We need this three-dimensional side. So here and here, the letter itself has been formed and moved towards the right vanishing point. So we're going to use the opposite vanishing point, the left. It's like marching. We're marching, right, left, right, left, right, left. So I'm going to go back. Now again, my depth is not that wide right here, so I want to find out where I need to cut that off. So again, if I line up back here, usually it works, and I'm lined up to the right vanishing point, so I'm going to put a little dot right there where that crossed through. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Back here, go to the right, and cross off, cut off. So here, I'm connected to a vertical, so I can drop with a vertical in here, nice parallel vertical, and erase that extra little bit of orthogonal that was right there. This one, I'm not connected to a vertical, I'm connected to an angle, kind of an arbitrary angle, right? So I'm going to be parallel to that slope of my N, and put that in there, and then I'll erase that negative for that little bit of orthogonal there to the left, so I get my open negative space. Now in order to shade here, I would shade up underneath this part, because it would be darker up under there. So you guys need to shade yours as well. If I'm shading like this direction, the back of the E over here might be shaded, right? And we're going to put the D over here, but we're going to start with the D like an O. But we can't just leave it like an O. We got to knock off the corners and make it like a collegiate. Like almost like what would be on the back of a jersey. So we need to knock off the corners and make it more angled. So we're going to do that over here, but I'm going to continue to shade a little bit. So again, this part of the N faces the left side. The actual face of the N goes towards the right, but the three-dimensional side goes to the left. This back side goes to the left. And this will start to create that further illusion that these guys are taking up space. If we just left them white, they do, but it just really reinforces. Okay, so we could maybe give this a little shading, just a little bit, just like it's kind of getting a shadow from the one above it. But we could leave the right sides all really bright and white. So we're going to finish the D, and then you guys hopefully have been following along and you can turn that in. So I think I'm going to go with my choice number 2 on this one. All right, so choice number 2 is where I went. So my vertical goes through where the orthogonal from the left crosses over the X. That'll help me keep my inside, so this will be now my bottom opening, and then where the X meets those two vertical lines on the inside. That's where to the left, it all matches up, so I'm pretty good there. All right. Okay, again, if I want to cut my angles off, I'm going to be careful because I don't want it to line up with my vanishing point. So I'm going to on purpose make it a little bit less. Like I'm going to on purpose not shoot from my vanishing point. So I just cut that off so it doesn't line up with my vanishing point. Then parallel, come back and knock off some of the negative space in here. Or add, I guess. So I think that was wrong with my other one that I did, is I was like lined up basically with the vanishing point, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to make things more dramatic, so I miss that vanishing point. My straight edge does not line up with the vanishing point, because these are arbitrary again. So I think this one will feel better than the last one. So you can see how curved, or letters that traditionally we think of as being curved, are more difficult. All right, so again, my letters facing the left side, that leaves me drawing off these points to my right vanishing point. The perfectionist in me could not leave that other D alone. There, that feels better to me. All right, so now I want to set my depths of my D here. I'm parallel because this is a parallel through there. So I'm parallel between these two orthogonals. Then where that vertical that I kind of, that depth just feels right to me. I could have went back further or shorter, but I just like that. Then I'm going to be parallel to this angle. Remember, I'm not lined up to the vanishing point. It's just arbitrary. So I just want to be parallel to that angle. And then the top one, move it out till I hit where that vertical hit that orthogonal right there where they have that obtuse angle. And again, make a nice parallel. Oops, don't erase everything. So now I can erase the extra orthogonals, and now that just leaves me finishing the inside now. So from this inside corner and this inside corner, I'm going to go back to the vanishing point on the right because the letter itself faces the left, so I need to use the right vanishing point. I feel like this is not as deep, so we need to shorten this up. So again, we can kind of measure our distance by lining up the left. Yeah, so I think, I don't know, might just be, I feel like I want to shorten this up. So I'm going to put a vertical between these two orthogonals right here. Where that vertical hits those two orthogonals, they go. This orthogonal goes to the right. This orthogonal goes to the right. We're hitting a vertical, so we know we need to cross off with a left. And then we can erase out. Then that looks like, I mean, if there were like a line going back here, you would see through there. So that's like a negative space looking out into the distance, just like this E would be a negative space looking out to the distance. Okay, so now we can shade. So I can do my upper, inside, dark. I can do this medium. I already have a lot of shading here from the previous one. Don't forget this is open, so we can make it look kind of backlit, like it's getting lighter right here. Okay, and then I don't want to put a ton of value on my D, so I'm just going to kind of lightly shade it. All right, so for the project, we're going to be using letters, but we're not just going to do boring letters. We're going to talk more about architecture. So my demo tomorrow will talk about that, if you hung in there with me. So I'll add a little dark down here because the light would kind of shine. All right. So now I will end. All right, kiddos. Goodbye.